Hey, good morning, fishing friends. JC here with Rad Reeling Fishing. Or maybe it's afternoon or evening where you're at right now, or watching this video right now. Anyway, today I want to talk to you about the best lures for snook fishing. At least in my opinion, the ones that I fish pretty much all the time and catch snook on. I'm going to talk to you about what the best times to fish with these lures are, and also the best areas, places that you're going to fish these lures as well. And also I'm going to talk about different seasons of the year and where you're going to find the snook during those seasons. Okay, so my first lure that I want to talk about, but not necessarily my number one choice for snook fishing, is the lure that mimics the greenback shiner. Now it's got the greenback, silver side, and it also has some gold color in it. This brand is a Yozuri. Rapala makes the same minnow. It's called an X-Rap. They make it in two different sizes, and I like the larger size, but this size works really well because that's about the size of the greenbacks in our area. And the snook just tear these things up, man. They love these. I also catch mangrove snapper and grouper on these. If you've seen some of my videos, you see that I do jacks as well and ladyfish. But anyway, the way that I fish these lures that I'm going to show you today, this one I'm going to show you another lure, is I always fish these at a pretty much a fast pace. Not as fast as I can reel, but a medium to fast pace. Very rarely will you ever see me fishing one of these lures slowly. Steady retrieve, and if you see my videos, you'll notice my rod tip, it's always moving. Like I'm just reeling and jerking, reeling, jerking, reeling, jerking. Constant reel and a constant jerk on that fishing pole. And that works for me, guys. Whether it's early morning, evening hours, or at night, fishing around bridges and lights and shadows, that particular technique for me always catches snook. And so anyway, that is one of my go-to lures right there. The one that looks like the greenback shiner. It's got the little lip on it. I like the Yozuri because it runs deeper than the Rapala. And it also seems to give off a little bit more vibration. So anyway, I fish these from the shore. You can't really fish these minnow type lures from up on a bridge. It's just too hard. You have to get your rod tip like right down close to the water in order for these things to really run at a good depth for catching snook. So from the seawalls or shorelines, these work great, or from a boat. So greenback color, that's one of my go-to colors. This is my all-time favorite. If you've seen some of my videos, you know that. It's a Rebel broken back. It's blue and silver. I love snook fishing with this lure. All right, so where are you going to find these snook, and what times a year are you going to fish for them, and where? Okay, so during the colder months like December, January, and February, the snooks move up into the warmer water, so they get up into the creeks and they hang out. Snook always hang out around bridges or flats or rocks, any place that there's structure or there's a lot of bait and drop-off areas. And the other thing is that snook like current. If you can find where there's running water and current, like I've seen like runoff areas where there's big piping that the water flows out of there and it goes into an area and it creates just current in there, and the snook hang out in those areas. Any place that you can find current, you want a good strong tide for snook fishing. At least in my opinion, that's what I think. Somebody else may tell you something different, but I have caught a lot of snook in my day. I'm not going to reveal my age, but I'm up there, man. I've caught a lot of snook, and I've caught a lot of them on this lure. I mean, the past 20 years, just thousands of snook, I'm sure, on this particular lure. And I catch keepers as well as little dinks and medium-sized ones as well on that. Now, if you can get bigger lures than these, you know, the minnow type lures that have the lips, and fish them, you have a chance of catching bigger snook. I always think the bigger the bait, the bigger the fish, but I catch big snook on these as well. So yeah, during December, January, and February, they're going to be up in the creeks. All right, now during June, July, and the early part of August, the snook are going to be found in the inlets that connect the intercoastal waterways and the beaches, and they're going to be on the beaches. That's their spawning time. And so June, July, and early August, The snook are going to be out in those areas around the beaches and inlets spawning. So in between those cold months, okay, December, January, and February, and June, July, and August, in between those months, the snook are going to be in the intercoastal waterways, okay? They're going to be moving, either they're going to be heading out towards the Gulf or the beach areas, or the Atlantic side beach areas, or they're going to be heading into the creeks. And so they're going to be passing through the intercoastal waterways. Any place, guys, seawalls, pilings, bridges, rocks, flats, oyster beds with drop-offs, any place where there's bait and structure and moving current, you're going to find snook in South Florida. All right, so here we go. We're going to go with my next choice. We're going to talk about some different jigs, okay? Opening night, there was a lot of seaweed in the water in the place that I was fishing. I had never fished with jigs before. A couple weeks before, a guy told me that jigs were good for snook fishing, so I put one on, bounced it on the bottom. I didn't do any good. I ended up catching a slot snook on a jig by just buzzing this thing through the light really fast, and I got a reaction strike. I actually had 2 snook that night that I hooked up with. One I lost, but one I caught. 33 inches, slot size on southwest coast of Florida is 28 to 33, so he made it to the slot size, and he made it into my frying pan too. He was really, really good. Love the taste of snook. All right, so get these guys at Walmart. You get the Yozuri, you can get them at, I ordered these from Cabela's. The Rebels I get from Bass Pro Shop. And we're going to talk about the First Light tackle jigs now. All right, I'm going to tell you a story about these, and I think you guys will appreciate what I'm going to share with you. Oh, I was going to tell you, the Rapala X-Wraps, I'll put a link in the description area below for Amazon. It'll take you right to the page. You can order these if you'd like. I get them off Amazon too. This is the Yozuri, which I got from Cabela's. The Rapalas I get from Amazon, or I go to Walmart. So anyway, First Light jigs. Okay, these guys come in a lot of different sizes, but apparently for many, many years, people have been using jigs to catch snook with. Now, I tried it about 20 years ago when I was fishing mostly with live bait for snook, and I didn't do very good with the jig. Actually, I didn't catch anything, so I never fished with them again. But just recently, in the past, I'd say 2 months, I saw a guy up on a bridge one night, okay? And as I was walking up on the bridge, I noticed he had a huge snook, or a huge fish on from a distance. Well, the closer I got to him, he lost the fish. And when he reeled up his lure, he had one of these jigs on. He told me it was a cobia, but I didn't believe him. I thought it was a snook because that's a popular place for people to catch snook, and I think he was just didn't want to disclose his snook fishing area. Anyway, he took time to show me the jig, and he told me how he fishes it. He says he catches, he told me he catches snook grouper on this type jig, and it's the only thing that he fishes with. Well, I just kind of blew it off, you know, and I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll go get me some jigs. And so I did. I got me this jig from Walmart, and I actually caught a snook on it. So about 3 weeks after that, I go up on the same bridge again, and I notice I'm walking up on the bridge, and here's a guy. He's got another giant snook. Well, it's the same guy when I get up there. But this time I saw he actually had a snook, and I helped him land it. It was like a 36 to 38 inch snook. Big old monster, man. Had this jig hanging out of its mouth whenever he landed that fish. Well, this time the guy took time with me, and he showed me exactly how he fishes this jig, told me where to get it, and he actually gave me a couple of jigs and a label off of the jig package so I would know the right ones to get. So these come from a company called First Light Tackle. I think they're on the east coast of Florida. You can get them in a lot of different sizes. Now, these jigs are really good for fishing for bridges. You can't fish these guys from bridges, the minnow type lures, but on top of the bridges, you can cast these guys out way out by the catwalk lights and fish them on the bottom, or at any depth you can fish these jigs. Now, I don't know what the snook think these are, but I have caught 2 snook on this particular color jig, the chartreuse with the chartreuse head and the long blue tail there, and I've hooked up with a couple. I've had quite a few hits on this jig ever since I started fishing with it. Now, these are still my first choice, okay? early morning fishing, late evening, or even at night from the shoreline, around seawalls and lighted and shadowed areas, my go-to lure is this. But if I am up on top of a bridge, this is going to be one of my go-to lures now, because they're great for fishing on top of bridges. Now, another lure that I don't have out here is the artificial shrimp. That works really good when you're up on a bridge and you're fishing. You cast it out past the shadow, let the current pull it back into the shadow and underneath the bridge. If you haven't seen my video on the Snook zone, you need to check that out. Okay, so I think that's it. I've covered the seasons of where to fish for snook, what time of years you're going to fish for them, and I've covered the different lures, my favorite ones for snook fishing. So listen, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. If you are a subscriber, click the bell icon so you'll get notified, and thumbs up are always appreciated. And don't just sit there, man. Get out there and go fishing, because there's lots of fish to be caught. Get around structured area, throw these lures, right time of day, and I guarantee you're going to catch some snook. All right, have a good day, guys. Thanks for watching. See ya.